Happy Friday, everybody. Josh here with On the Wrong Lead. Another episode of the Get Out presented by You've Gotta Be Shots hitting me. I don't know what the heck we're calling this thing, but I'm joined as always by Mr. Matt Carlson at a much earlier time than normal. No alcohol in front of us today, but I'm sure some of us wish that we could probably have some alcohol right now. But Matt, how you doing?
Doing okay. On last week I think I got killed between here and Saratoga and Woodbine and everywhere else. So that gambling was not that great. But I was supposed to be at jury duty today, and I'm not. So that's a win, right? Yeah, can't complain.
It's the small things, man. It's the small things.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I took a gamble and saw they initially booked my my appointment for Friday during the summer, and I'm like, I'm gonna keep that one. I think I'm gonna call their bluff on that one. So
there you go. How did last weekend go? I know you guys your plans got kind of biffed a little bit, but you guys do anything fun?
Yeah, it was good, right? Not as good. We were supposed to go up to like a beer festival without the kids for up in Burlington, Vermont. So that would have been more ideal than what we ended up doing, which was staying home, with some recovering kids. But they were pretty much recovered by the point of the weekend. So like, look, we went out to dinner a couple times with just some local places, brought the kids along. Tuesday for my wife's birthday, we honestly went to a park and had a picnic for the full day. So I mean, it was like beautiful weather for the 2 days a year that the Northeast gets beautiful weather. So hey, it all worked out. It's not ideal, but make the most of it, right? That's kind of the way we do things. So,
yeah. How did the Del Mar picks work out?
I think I had second-itis the whole time. I think I ended up, I think if I trailed it along, the horse that I said, he's probably going to be too short off the layoff, ended up winning the first. I think I ended up getting second in I think I got second in the middle leg, and then the last leg, I think that got wired at a pretty big price. I had the Kyle Frey and the 11 at like 18-1 or something like that, who just never had a chance of passing. So yeah, 0 for 3, just like I thought I'd be. So like I said, please don't track my ROI on this. So
it's a process.
Yeah, we're working into it, right? It took me a couple of years to get into Hong Kong. So, by 2029, if they're still racing in California, maybe we'll hit one of these.
Well, we'll kind of jump right into it here. If you don't know, obviously, our usual thing is doing the late pick 3 at Shot Tin. So we're doing the late pick 3 at Del Mar, $3 base. We're doing Sunday night because everyone needs a get out. This is 9 p.m. Eastern, right? So it's the perfect time for a get out. And we're going to start with a grade 2 here, the Eddie Reed. We're going to be going a mile in the eighth on the turf here. And we got a solid field of 8 in this race. We're recording this early on Friday, so no morning lines as of yet. Matt, if you were a betting man, who would you think the favorite is in this race?
I actually have a whole spiel prepared about how I have no idea who's going to be the favorite in this race. I think I like a single in this race, but I do think I don't even know who takes money in here. Cabo Spirit, maybe? I don't know. Probably not. Maybe Dicey Mochara takes money. I don't know.
I have no clue, and it was funny because I think the other day, one of the guys from, I think it might have been from Del Mar, was like, complaining about people complaining about morning lines, and it's like, you do it, and I'm like, this is a tough one. Maybe Gold Phoenix kind of goes off as your favorite in here. He's been short priced in other races, especially races out out west. He won the Del Mar last year going a mile and 3/8. I don't know. I'll be curious to see how this race kind of gets bet. I think this is a little sharp for Gold Phoenix. I feel like we've seen him do his best running going longer. So I'm not really interested in him in this spot. Stay Hot is another one that maybe it'll be a short price. Coming off a stakes win at Lone Star. In the Mathis Mile, he was a pretty short price. And as a 3-year-old, he was very highly regarded last year. So second time 4-year-old here. Frazu up for Urton. Maybe you see this one. Take a little bit of money, but my top pick in this race is actually the 4, Formidable Man. Um, this is the horse that hasn't really done a ton wrong. I mean, you kind of cross the line through the Pegasus, I think. I mean, he was on the pace in that race, and that's just not what he wants to do. He's a horse that needs a target, and like he doesn't necessarily, I think, need to be. Um, I don't think this is a horse that needs a setup. If you kind of look at his 2 Del Mar races, right, he did it both ways, right? He did it tracking a slow pace. He did it sitting way back on a hot pace, right? But he needs a target. He can't be on the front. So you kind of cross the line through the Pegasus. And then, the Shoemaker, I don't think anyone like it was kind of a slow pace there, and he was really far back, I think, in that one. So maybe gave himself a little bit too much work to do with not a lot of pace in front of him. Um, he finished up fine. I mean, he made up, like 5 lengths down that stretch. So like, I mean, he was coming, but maybe adding the extra furlong will help him out here a little bit. But what I really like about this horse is this is a horse that, in 3 starts at Del Mar, he's got 3 wins. So I like Formidable Man getting back to Del Mar. I was talking on stream on Thursday with Caleb and Mark, and Caleb really brought up a really good point that he loves betting against Santa Anita speed horses coming to Del Mar because it's much, much harder to wire a race at Del Mar than it is at Santa Anita on the turf. It's just a different turf course. That being said, in the short list of horses that Josh Rodriguez is contractually obligated to bet, on the turf division, one of them is Get Smokin', who I think actually ended up scratching the United Nations, much to my chagrin. The other one is Cabo Spirit, with Turf God Mike Smith aboard. And I did say, hey, don't bet speed horses at Del Mar, coming off of good efforts at Santa Anita. I'm betting a speed horse at Del Mar, coming off 2 good efforts at Santa Anita here. And Mike Smith has ridden this horse very well the 2 times he rode this horse. Won that American, and I don't really know what Frankie Dettori was doing last time in the Shoemaker, because the fractions that were being set, I mean, Cabo Spirit absolutely should have like been in the lead in that race. I don't know. I don't know why he kind of stalked that entire time. So I do like Mike Smith getting back aboard, because Mike Smith on turf is good at 2 things: sendy or making one run. Don't expect him to navigate like a really, really great trip. I mean, that's honestly, like, I don't even think it's like I think he's fine in other situations, but I really do think that he excels when he can just get his horse out of the gate, get it to relax and go, or just make that one run. I mean, he's still got the clock, and knows how to get the horse out and make that one run. So those are my 2 horses in here. I'm gonna use Formidable Man as a lone A, Cabo Spirit as a lone B. Where did you land, Matt?
Yeah, so when you asked the question before who I thought would be favored in this race, I kind of didn't want to bury the lead and say I'd be singled in here. But now that you have the same A that I do, I think we can both say probably the 4 goes off favored, because if we see it, everyone else is going to see it. So, look, a lot of the same reasons, right? This horse has never lost at Del Mar. I mean, you said he's 3 for 3. I think he's actually 4 for 4 at Del Mar turf. He's never lost it, going 9 furlongs on Del Mar turf. He should actually, based on his races, has looked better going 9 furlongs than he has a mile. I think he's like 3 for 5 lifetime going 9 furlongs. And look, I mean, I think both the Del Mar Derby and the Hollywood Derby came back pretty strong, right? Like he beat horses like King of Gosford, who came back to win graded races. He beat Donegal Momentum, who came back to win graded races. And I think you know this horse just looks great on paper, right? He looks ideally set up here. Yeah, maybe I don't know if the layoff's so much of a concern, right? He's not laid off for that long, just a couple months, so I think he's fresh. He should be coming in well. If anything, right, your concern is that Umberto's going to have him too far back and try and make one run, and maybe with that short stretch, it's not ideally suited. And I don't know how much of a pace setup you get in here, but look, I mean, you mentioned Gold Phoenix, right? I mean, I think it's encouraging even to see, Umberto was riding Gold Phoenix last time, and now he's choosing, Formidable Man, right? And I don't play too much into the jockey moves, especially for a colony that I don't know all that well. But, I mean, I think, look, I think he's worthy of a single in here. And even if he does go off favored, I mean, I don't think you're going to end up like an odds on favorite in here, right? I think if, the horse ends up below 2-1 or something like that, yeah, maybe you start questioning and start scoping some other end. But otherwise, I do think he's worth that price just based on how he's run here, right? I mean, keep betting him until they show that they can't, do something. So 4 for 4 Del Mar Turf is good enough for me to, even with favoritism, I think to make it my lone A and probably my single in the sequence here.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious, and so I've mentioned this a couple places I think this week where I've been doing content. Um, first of all, shout out to DRF who helps provide us with data for our streams. Check out chat.drf.com. Check out their chat bot. But what's interesting about uh, like having the all access PPs here and being able to switch between um, formulator and time form. And it's something, like I said, I never, ever look at DRF. I love time form to death. Time form is my number one place to go. But, unless I'm at the track with Papa Knight and just tilting off and ask him for his paper form, like I very rarely look at DRF. And it's nothing against their product. It's just not a product I've used. Because obviously I love time form. It's interesting seeing the difference in the figures, and it's something that I've started now. I've started comparing, right? Because I think sometimes you get these races in time form where the figures are really flat, and then all of a sudden you look at DRF, and one horse is like 10 points faster on buyer figs, right? And obviously there's a different calculations, different ways that they come up with it. And you look at Gold Phoenix, and Gold Phoenix has got a couple triple digit buyers, and I kind of feel like people are going to kind of see that and maybe bet off that. But I do think this is actually kind of a flat race. So um, it's going to be. I think it's going to be interesting to see how this race is bet. I really have, like I said, I have no idea. I like Formidable Man quite a bit. You like Formidable Man, so maybe the sharp money, or the wise guy money, or the dumb money, depending on the day that we are, will be on that for. So yeah, it'll be interesting to kind of see. Anything else on this race?
No, I don't think so.
Race 10. We got a 6.5 furlong dirt claiming race. Depending on how the tides are, maybe speed will be good. But like I said, we don't have morning lines as of yet. So I'll let you go first, Matt. Where did you land here?
Yeah, I didn't really love anything in this race. It's hard to love 10K claimers, I guess, and really have something stick out. I think in this race, I'm gonna go to kind of the new faces, or at least the moves that normally I'd look at and I would say, yeah, these moves kind of stink. But I think for when you consider tracks like Del Mar or even like Saratoga, you know, part of me is like, hey, there's never like that bad a move, right? If someone's dropping, like, hey, maybe they just want to win at your premier track. So I'm willing to forgive it a little bit more. I went 2 horses, right? And I mean, I think they'll probably maybe be your 2 favorites in here. The first one was the 2 Tennessee Honeybee, right? I think, the confluence of circumstances do really add up for this horse. I think, obviously shipping in from Churchill, for 10K, why wouldn't this horse be running at Ellis Park, right? I mean, he has to be here for some reason, either connections want a Del Mar win, or, there's some other ship and win criteria that, again, I don't follow too closely, so I'm not aware of. But, you know, this horse is a new face, whereas all the rest of them have been running in California. So why is this horse here, right? Especially for the price, right? You wouldn't ship him out here for the cost of shipping him here is more than he's going to run for the claim. So something's got to be going on there. But I mean, as far as just the horse itself goes, right? Like B jersey from a sire perspective, right? This horse ran 7 furlongs last time. B jerseys are 1 for 27 with a very poor ROI going 7 furlongs, and they're 25% for an ROI of like quadruple that at 6. So, this horse is ideally suited for 6 furlongs, right? And I like the cutback. Surprisingly, the one stat that really stood out to me was on the jockey side on Abel Liscano, and this is your weird ass stat, your Ed DeRosa micro trend of the day or whatever you want to call it. Abel Liscano at 6.5 furlongs at Del Mar is 4 for 5 lifetime. I, I don't know where you get that from or what it is, but just a stat that stood out, right? Like he doesn't win a lot of races, but he sure wins a lot of races at 6.5 furlongs. So 80% jockey to me is pretty good to bet, right? And maybe afterwards it'll be 5 for 6. I don't, again, not an angle that you probably really want to delve into too hard, but hey, there you go. He's winning races out here. He's one of the top jockeys in California. So whatever, it's something. All that adds up, right? Where I think this is just the best horse, right, in a field that doesn't inspire a whole lot coming in, right? I guess the other place I'll go just in case is with the 10, Fly a Fantasy with Kyle Frey up. Look, I don't think you should most often bet class droppers off a massive layoff, right? Like horse coming in off like a 6-month layoff and immediately dropping down for 10K, and it's kind of been dropping before that, right? Like this horse was running in stakes company, less than 2 years ago. I don't know, right? I mean, something clearly isn't right with this horse, but hey, maybe it's finding a level, right? It's encouraging, I think, that this horse has had a consistent workout line since May, right? He hasn't been just on the bench coming back from injury, so he has been working. Jeff Bond does okay both off the layoff and class dropping. And so I think, look, this horse really hasn't shown anything in a while. If he's not right, this could be pretty ugly. But maybe you get the right price just because you have a horse that really hasn't shown anything in a long time coming off a layoff. So maybe this is the right spot finally for this. And, again, if you're going to find a field to win against, this is probably it because it's not that great a race. So I think I'll be 210 and, just kind of, I don't know, defensive my way out of this race.
Yeah, I was lucky enough last week to do a live stream with John Lindo over with I think it's like LA horse racing, but he's on the air over at LA. He knows California racing like the back of his hand. He's probably forgotten more about California racing than I've ever learned. But one of the things that he really emphasized is the ship and win at Del Mar. And when you look at the two, who is my top pick in this race? I mean, he absolutely fits in, right, for the ship and win bonus, right? So automatically, this horse. I mean, they're leaving with $5,000, right? So that should hopefully cover whatever it costs to ship this horse, over to Del Mar, right? There's a $5,000 flat starter bonus for dirt races. And then a 50% purse bonus, right? So although I think the purse for this race is, I want to say it's 30K or 26K. Yeah, it's going to automatically bump up. I believe it's 50%. So for first through fifth. So I do think that there's a reason why this horse is shipping, and I think it's because, hey, this is going to be a kind of a soft spot for this horse. I think just the shipping bonus alone is probably making this a good spot. And yeah, I really, I mean, it's my top pick in here. I'm interested to see how this horse kind of runs. And they have this horse. This race is a fast pace, but I don't really see it. I think maybe they see a lot of like tracking types, and they just assume that they're going to kind of all be vying for the lead. But I really do think Abel Lascano is going to be able to pick what he wants to do. Being inside drawn speed, if he wants to be, or he can just get on the rail and kind of track this entire time. So Yeah, I think this is gonna be a tough horse to beat. And I think pretty well meant with the bonuses and stuff. Um, but as I started kind of looking through this race, you know, there was a lot of I don't know. You see a lot of horses that had just broken their maiden at Los Al. Um, horses running at Los Al, beating up on each other. Horses that only have won wire to wire at Los Al. And I was kind of just trying to avoid all of those horses. And I kind of ended up landing on the one Divine Marina as my kind of my second choice, my B in this race. Um, This is a horse that has passed other horses in both starts. And it's kind of an interesting horse because both times is broken pretty well and it kind of been taken back like immediately. So, Kimura's been able to get this horse out of the gate clean. And I think last time, was able to just kind of navigate a 6 furlong race, get outside and win, going away. So I wonder if he kind of gets a similar trip here, where he's on the rail, he's able to break out clean, and then just kind of able to, if there is some kind of pace battle up front, just kind of track off that pace and kind of go outside. When I was looking, at Formulator through stats, Kimura and Craig Lewis are 15% over the last year in 47 attempts with $1.75 ROI. So, this is kind of a go-to jock for Craig Lewis. They're winning at 17 or at 15%. Kimura's only winning at 13%, so it's kind of a plus move there. Craig Lewis is only winning at 10%, right? So when he goes to Kimura, he tends to have more success. So I thought he was an interesting horse in here. And Craig Lewis, he's the kind of guy who, when he gets a horse winning, tends to kind of keep him on the right track. He's 17% after winning the last start. Generally gets bet down. It's only a $1.02 ROI on that. So, I'm kind of interested to see how this one gets bet. It does look a little slow on both buyer and time form, but I thought he was kind of the other horse I wanted to use here. So I'm just going to use the 2 Tennessee Honeybee and I'm going to use the 1 Divine Marina. Anything else here?
No, I mean nothing really inspires all that much confidence in here to me. But
Well, speaking of inspiring confidence, got a 1 mile California 3-year-old and up turf maiden race.
this is a race, yeah.
This is a race. And this was I mean, on this one, the 4 Goat Ski looks absolutely like the horse to beat in here. And right, you get Umberto Rispoli getting up for Dan Blacker. Last time out at Santa Anita, this horse, closed and just missed by half length. So second time out for this horse, and you know Rispoli actually doesn't ride for Dan Blacker very often. In fact, I think I only see one start in the last year, which is, Dan Blacker's got a small barn, right? I think he's got 25 starts this year, but on um, on Bayer, this horse just absolutely towers over the field. So this horse is going to get absolutely hammered. Um, but all the stats for Dan Blacker are looking like this horse is poised to win this race. So going to be tough to leave him out. A horse that looks good on time form, but not as good on Bayer is the 5 Hello Kiddo Kiddo. And obviously this is a horse that it's got a ton of starts at this point. Is 10 starts in 03 and 3 in those 10 starts. I do think since getting to the turf, it definitely looks like this horse wants to be on the turf. And I am a little interested, right? They've been they've kind of been like changing tactics on this horse a bit. You know, they were kind of coming from off of it, then they kind of tried to come from way off of it. Then this last time they're like, screw it, let's get to the lead, see what happens. And so, but the thing that kind of at least inspires some confidence in me is the fact that they call up JJ Hernandez for this race. And he's another one who doesn't ride for Barocchio much. Only 8 times in the last year. He's got one win, and it was at a very, very short price. Blinker's coming off, on the layoff here, but Librado's very good at maiden special weights. He's got an 18% win rate at that. So, I'm kind of interested to see. I personally like Kent DeSormo on the turf. I think he's a good turf rider. But JJ Hernandez to me is the best guy out west. So the switch to the plus jock I think is a good sign. But the we'll see kind of betting a 0 for 10 horse is always kind of tough. Um, the last horse I looked at, and I wrote down as a C. Will probably be a B on my tickets, but just this is my third choice in here. Z's Wardrobe, the 8. Um, and this is just a case of you cross off the races that um, are on dirt, right? And right those turf tries. It looks like this is an improving horse. Coming back out here, um, and yeah, I just think this is gonna be a horse coming from off the pace. I think might appreciate Del Mar a little bit more. Obviously, last time was trying to come from off the pace in the five. Or last time at Del Mar, I was trying to come off the pace in the 5 furlong turf sprint. I do think that this is going to be a little bit better going to 2 turns here. I think he's going to appreciate that. Um, and Kyle Frey for Ed Freeman, 14% when they hook up. Which is, like I said, better than what Kyle Frey is normally. So I do think that he's getting some of Ed Freeman's live ones here. Hasn't ridden this horse before. And like I said, I think the change over to Del Mar is probably going to be a positive one for this one's run style. So I'm going to use the 4, 5, and 8 in this one. Where did you land, Matt?
Yeah, I think I agree with you on a lot of accounts, especially on Goatski. I still think I want to get around him here, partially because of how I'm playing the first 2 legs in here. I just don't want to play kind of 3 straight chalk legs. I also think that this race is kind of just devoid of speed entirely. And I do think, you think Humberto sometimes with his like one run on the turf. Is Goatski that good to kind of make that one run against a field like this, especially if they go super slow up front? Maybe not, or at least maybe not at the price that I think he's going to go off at in here. So I wanted to get around, even if he's the most likely winner in here. I do agree with you on the 5. Hello, kiddo, kiddo. I do think he's potentially the lone speed in here. I know the 3 kind of maps on time for him similarly for being up on the pace, but who knows, right? I mean, that horse is coming off a layoff for a while, I think like a year and a half upwards. So who knows how much speed that horse is going to show out of the gate. And if he doesn't, then hey, maybe this is just a race that JJ wires all the way around. Like yeah, I agree with you on all the other accounts too, right? Like, do you really want an 0 for 10 lifetime in here? Maybe not, but there's enough there, I think, where this race kind of just sets up for him. And with JJ aboard, I do think, right, like maybe he takes too much money, but I do think he's probably worth the price depending on how much Goatski takes against him. So I agree with you there. I agreed with you a bit on the 8 just as a B. I do think like if you look at those turf races, he kind of has that like quote unquote Z pattern going on, right? You see him kind of like break up, drift back, and then close afterward. And to me at least, it shows that horse has some late foot. So, TBD how much. I mean, I don't know that it inspires confidence if you're making up ground to go from 8 lengths to 4.5 at the wire, but it's something. And again, in this race where a lot of horses really haven't shown much of anything, I think he's worth a shot as a B. I think the only other horse that I wanted to go to in here, again, just trying to look a little bit off the paper, is the same angle I went to last week, and that's the Peter Miller horse in the number one. I think Warm Reception might have a chance in here. Um, look, the horse is picking up Lasix. He's coming off a big layoff. What really inspired confidence to me, I think, is if you look at the workout pattern of this horse, I think the 6 furlong work last out is what kind of inspires some confidence to think, hey, maybe this horse has some fitness in him. Would Peter Miller really be working up from that 4 to 5 to 6, furlong workout pattern if he didn't think this horse had ability or if this horse wasn't kind of ready to fire off the layoff? So, you know, I don't think he needs a race, right? I think Peter Miller looks like he's coming in here, at least kind of ready to fire with that 6 furlong work. So I do think this is a horse that could get lost in the shuffle. I do think this horse probably won't take much money. And like I said, Peter Miller is running okay. He's cooled off a bit from that first day where he won 2 races, and I think he's only won one since. But maybe, right? I don't think he's a toss by any means. And again, if you're looking for a price in here, go with a little bit of an unknown rather than kind of these other known quantities. So I think I'll be 1-5 as A's and then use the 8 as a B in here. And again, just try and get around Goatsky thinking, I don't want kind of 3 favorites in the sequence.
Man, I think it's a little scary that we've kind of been in lockstep here. I thought I was kind of sticking my neck out a little bit with this 8, but apparently not. So you know
Yeah,
what's
I
funny
mean,
though? At one
yeah.
point when I looked at the 8, I did think, I'm like, this seems like a Matt horse. So
Yes, Kyle Frey is is definitely a B horse. No, I mean, look, like I normally wouldn't bet someone coming in from, you know, Turf Paradise to
yeah.
you know, you know run well, but I don't know. I mean, arguably, right? Like it's Kyle Frey's your jockey upgrade, and hasn't run that bad. There have been horses coming out of all those turf races that have won since. So
Yeah, that was kind of the other thing that I was looking at too with this horse, right? Um, and like I said, shout out to DRF because this is one of the cool things. What like my favorite thing of using these products, right? When you go to the charts, um, right? Second place finish, she came back out and won in that race, right? Um, and the winner, Orange Thunder, in that race that Kyle Frey was on, actually was in the race previous to that. So I kind of feel like maybe those races have just been a little bit saltier than uh, than some of like I think than what is he's going to be kind of going up in this case, right? Obviously, I back to back key races in turf races goes to Turf Paradise and does something I don't think he wants to do. I mean, Pavel, I'm not too sure, but Square Eddie, I think tends to be a little bit better on the turf. So yeah, I just thought like, hey, get this horse back on turf. He's run some good races there, and um, or at least figure wise compared to what some of these other horses have run. I guess good races is uh, figurative in the spot. But was there any other? Did you look at any other races? Did you have an extra race? No.
I haven't yet. I haven't even looked at races that are going off in 5 minutes here for today. So
Gotcha.
it's been a week. So
Yeah, the one race, for my I guess my bonus bet here, I went to race 3. Um, I really like the 8 September Magic in this spot. He's not the fastest horse in this field. I think the 4 and the 5 both have faster figures. And right, this is one of those horses that has shown some speed at Santa Anita before, but I think is more versatile. Right, is more has come from off the pace as well. Hasn't necessarily run well at Del Mar, but when you take a look at this horse on Formulator, uh, you see that Kimura and Ryan Hansen hit at a 23% rate the last year with a $7.61 ROI. Uh, I'm gonna guess that this horse is live in this spot. So, and actually, this horse broke its maiden with Kimura aboard. So, and when you kind of look at the work pattern, I see that 46-4 bullet work on the 18th of July. I think this horse is raring to go. And in a race that doesn't really have much speed, looking at that work, maybe there's a shot that they just break out of the gate and try and wire this, or at least track that pace. So I love the 8 September Magic here, and yeah, I'm gonna have a nice win bet on that horse. That's gonna do it for us here on the Get Out, presented by You've Got to Be Shot Tinning Me. I am at Cherry Drank. He is at Slow and Steadied. Make sure you check out Drank and Champagne. Check out our live stream. You can catch it on Twitter or on YouTube, on thewronglead.com, at wrong_lead on Twitter. And yeah, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Check out our friends at DRF. Check out our friends at AM Wager. They've had all kinds of promos for Saratoga and Del Mar, so make sure you check them out. Links in the description. If you don't have an account, sign up. It helps us out. Have a good weekend, everybody. Let's make some money.